For now, gonna go add this on. Hey guys, we're back. It's day 10. I have less than 2 weeks to finish this now, so really we are hitting crunch time. Today we're just gonna keep filling this body out. I really want to have like a bit more structure. I think we're gonna try and actually get the arm joints attached and then also build out this tail a little bit more. But yeah, we've got a lot to do and not very much time to do it, so I'm just gonna get started. If you have any questions about the build, anything you'd like to know, suggestions, then comment them below. And if you're enjoying the series, then leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out. I'm gonna start by just doing some strengthening and welding to get the parts that we put on yesterday just even more secure. I'm not gonna film it because it's boring and you've seen me do loads of it by now. So I'll show you what it looks like in now. Okay, that's done. It's a lot stronger, a lot sturdier. We've added some supports around the top, and then also at the bottom on the side. So this is all pretty sturdy, happy with this. I mean, I wouldn't throw it off a building, but in terms of just sitting there, yeah, it's gonna be fine. So that's really good. I think we're gonna extend the tail now. I wanna add that other section on. I also glued these nuts onto the bottom just so that I could actually lay it down flat because it's got these annoying like points, which meant I couldn't balance it until I put those on. They won't be on the final piece. I'll probably knock them off. That's why they're just glued rather than welded. But yeah, let's extend the tail and I'll film a little bit of it so you can see inevitably when it doesn't weld very well. But yeah, let's get that added on and then see what's next. Right, fingers crossed this actually works because I really can't be bothered for it to not. This is when it's really annoying that I can't move the height of this at all, but fingers crossed. Okay. Okay, well that's probably a good thing that that didn't work because I apparently hadn't got it in the middle at all. Okay, we've got one point of contact. Let's see if we can just get a second in without this all falling apart. That's actually welded on. Okay, that's probably the easiest it's been so far. Pretty much every part's given us a load of trouble, but this time it's actually gone okay. Just gonna get these sides done and then that'll be really secure. As this thing gets like bigger, it gets harder and harder to weld everything because your kind of other bits are getting in the way, especially when you have a welding system like this. So it'll be interesting to see how difficult it gets by the end when it's massive, because also at the moment, like as it gets heavier, it's gonna be harder and harder for me to like hold it in my hand, maneuver it around. But that's a problem for a later date. It's also absolutely terrible for my back, but can't do anything about that either. All right, look at that, nice chameleon tail. I like that curve, and it looks reasonably straight to me, so that's a job well done. Okay, so this is what we're working with at the moment. Now that we've got this attached, can't actually rest it flat anymore, so that's slightly annoying. But can I do this? No. Okay, it's not gonna work. The plan is, obviously you have the head over here, you have arms coming out around here, and then the idea for the rest of it is where's it gone? You're basically gonna have this speaker be where you really start to like form the tail. But what we're gonna need to do here is basically have a matching piece that sort of goes like that from there, and then have parts also come from there to there. This is really, really heavy. So I don't wanna add it on until kind of the last possible moment. I need to work on a lot more of the body before I start getting that involved. So I think our next job for now is going to be getting the arm sockets, as I'm calling them, I guess, the shoulders put in place. I've got two of them, so we'll just have one on each side, and I just need to make sure that they're relatively symmetrical and they're not going to get in the way of like the head or any other parts of the body, but I think they'll look really good. The colors are obviously great, and it's quite cool that they match the tail really well. It just gives a bit of continuity throughout the piece, in the same way that this section on the head now really nicely matches this section on the tail. So you kind of do feel like the piece is all connected and it is one creation rather than just a completely random amalgamation. Okay, so we've just done a bunch of welding on the tail. This was actually super difficult, like really intricate to do, but I've just taken some welding rods and then welded them along the whole sort of length of the tail to really connect the two pieces. So that's done, and it's already pretty sturdy, it's pretty strong as it is, but once we have like the rest of the connecting pieces on the body, then that will definitely just make it way stronger. So I'm not really worried about the strength there. And I've had a nice surprise. My dad has very unexpectedly turned up with a pizza, so that's quite nice. I didn't actually eat alone in my studio for the first time in a week, so say hi. But he's been enjoying watching some of the welding. Okay, I kicked my dad out because he was distracting me, and it's already like 10 o'clock, so I really don't have the time to do that. So yeah, we've made the tail stronger. Next up is the sort of shoulder joints. I think, where's the head gone? The head's gonna go here, and then we'll have the arms sort of coming out around here. So I just need to figure out a sort of block that I can put in the middle here to help attach these two. I was thinking this would work quite well. It would make it like, it's probably a good thing to have up here actually, because it would help for it. Ooh, actually, you know, that could work really well. I was gonna say that would make quite a good weldable point to help attach the head to as well. Okay, I thought that was gonna take a bit longer than it did, but yeah. Initially I was thinking about chopping this off and then being able to attach it like that or kind of like that, but I don't see any reason why I couldn't have that in there. Let's see with this. Yeah, that bridges the gap pretty perfectly. We could have this attached like that. Okay, I've decided I'm gonna attach this then. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'm gonna go do that now. I'll film a little bit of it just so you guys can see what's going on. I kind of wish I'd filmed adding this on because I can't tell you how annoying it was. It was so difficult to try and weld holding this when I had sort of like, if the welding electrode's here, trying to weld something here, so I've got it like all held up at just ridiculous angles. It's becoming difficult. This is sort of the downsides of building big stuff. Usually a lot of the things that I make are much smaller than this, so I'm used to, they're pretty light and I can move them around really easily with the welder. I think for something this big, I could actually do with having a larger like MIG welder, so that I wouldn't have to be doing quite so much on the little one. The little one is like completely key for what I do. All of this really intricate tiny stuff, I couldn't do that with something big because it would just fry everything, but there's been a few times where I'm like, this would take a lot less time and be a lot easier on me if I had a different system going on. So I think I might invest in a second welder just so that I can kind of have the best of both worlds, but more on that later maybe. For now, I'm gonna go add this on. Well, it didn't hit the head, so that's good, but that was, oh, it's clearly too late. Right, let's go and weld this carefully. As always, just want to make sure that we're getting this perfectly in the middle. This is slightly getting in the way. I could chop it off, but I don't want to. Okay, obviously we can't weld this little bit here, so I'm gonna very lightly glue this in place. Before I weld this on, let's just check that that fits. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work, and if it doesn't, then I'll just cry. Okay, first bit of welded point. Oh, I need to weld this bit to the rest of the body as well. Currently it's only really attached down here. Thanks to movie magic though, I'm just gonna, it's gonna be 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! It's done. Yeah, we just got it welded pretty nicely on here. That's pretty stable, I think. Well, I'll find out. Yeah, so we can support the whole body, which is pretty heavy from this one point. So that's good going. God, it's very late already, but I think I really want to get these shoulders added on. It's just going to bulk up the rest of it so much more, which will be quite nice emotionally to feel like this is starting to look like a real body. So I'm just gonna go have a little think about how these are gonna be attached. Maybe I'll take you guys along for the ride. Okay, here we go. So if we imagine that the head's going here, I think we want the arms to come out about here. This way they'll have to be going forwards. Whereas I think I had been imagining that they'd be positioned backwards. So the difficult thing here is I don't have it fully figured out how I'm going to display this. So I think I want it to be on climbing on top of like some old circuitry like this. Now, obviously, how I position the arms and legs is going to be very important. For that, I kind of need to know what is on here to do that. So now I'm actually thinking, because these shoulders do kind of dictate the way that the arms are going to be pointing, maybe I should wait until I've got that figured out before I actually commit to welding these on. Another part of me obviously wants to just do it and face the consequences of my actions later, but that might be a bit foolish. I mean, that looks cool, don't you think? I think that looks cool. I think I am going to leave these, which means I need to work on the bottom section of the tail. I want to build like the whole point of connection to here out, kind of like how we built this top half up a bit. And then tomorrow I've actually got a call about the display and how this is going to be sort of positioned and everything, and how we want to display it at the event. So I suppose that will be a good opportunity to decide how is it actually going to physically look. Okay, so the idea for this tail is that this is going to be like the base. It's going to be the point where the body goes from being a body into a tail, and then we will take lots of various circular cylindrical things, space them out, and have those be connected loosely in a tail shape. Now normally I would just sort of attach this on right away and then connect everything from there. I'm not going to do that this time, basically because this is so heavy. Like I said before, it would just like pull the whole thing down, and there's not enough strength in this structure yet to do that. So I still want to be able to connect everything up as if it was going to join onto here, which means that I kind of need to create something that is this size to act as a framework for this. So to do that, I think we are going to get some paper and cut out a card version. So let's find some paper. Okay, I've just destroyed a box that I have deemed to be no longer useful to me. Okay, there we go. It's more or less what we needed. So this means that I can think, all right, if that goes there, where does everything else need to go to connect on? I think I'm going to just make a little cross with some wire. As you can see, a lot of the stuff I do is really not very professional. It's just like, does it work? Yes, okay, let's do it. Which I think is generally how you figure out like good ways to do things. You're never gonna be perfect at something. So much of what I've like learned in making these things is just trying something. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. If it's a mistake, it's a mistake, and it teaches you something. Hopefully this isn't, that being said. Okay, so now we have our very professional, very sturdy gauge of how this will all work. One more, two more in fact. Pieces of tape just for good measure. That's pretty good, I'd say. Now we can just start thinking what parts are long enough that get us down to here, because we just want to continue that curve. I mean, I want to go home already, but I want to get this done before I call it a night. Just Even if it's not actually welded, I want to know what parts we're coming in tomorrow to do, so that I don't spend like the session wondering like, oh, okay, how do we do this? I just want to sort of get down to it. Obviously, we could just start by welding a piece of metal straight to this. I'm even slightly tempted to actually weld a sort of triangle of these parts like this so that we could properly start fixing everything in place. I think I will probably do that before I, weld pieces on. But for now, let's just have a think. So I'm just seeing what sort of long pieces do I have? Something like this. Really, we want it to be, something like that. Let's see if I can get this in the middle. Just making this really precarious so that it's even more likely to fall. Seems like a good idea. I mainly use blue tack, whereas in this project I've actually used tape quite often, which is kind of a new thing. It works quite well. Blue tack's sometimes a bit annoying to work with, and oftentimes I can't ever actually find some. I think that works quite well. Let's get a better idea of visualizing this. Let's see, Swahili mug, come in handy. I don't know if that actually even helps visualize anything, but there you have it. Just look at it, see if I'm getting those sizes right. If I could find anything, where is the tape measure? Where have I put that? It's always at this point in the evening when I can't find anything and I'm just being extra dumb, like even more dumb than I usually already am, that I can tell it's getting late and I should go home before I make any executive decisions. No, okay, can't find it, brilliant. No, I think that is good. It looks weird with this being a big empty space. I need to find like ideally a big part like this to fill a big section of it. I think this part could be helpful for that. One problem with it is that it's another non-weldable piece, so that would, as usual, give me a bit of difficulty. I mean, in terms of it being good or not, it's just large. It's just something that I could build structure off. It doesn't need to be particularly amazing. Could be useful, so that's on the list to be considered. I don't have too much in the way of like big pieces, which is why this is a bit of a challenging build. Previously, this anglerfish was actually one of the biggest pieces I'd ever made, and obviously this is going to be much, much bigger, so that's the problem. Normally when I'm making something like this, you don't need very many parts, you don't need very many big parts, that's for sure, and I tend to not cultivate as many really large parts because I'm used to working with smaller stuff. These could work as like big hips, but they're really heavy and I don't know how good that would look. That is cool though, that is cool. So it's very difficult. Okay, I think executive decision made. I'm going to leave it here for now and we'll pick this up tomorrow and I can just sleep on it a little bit, figure out exactly what I want to do and think about what parts I can use to fill that void, because I don't think even if I sort of make a decision now, it's one that I'll... Case in point, I don't think it's one that I'm actually going to be happy with. This has been one of those days where I feel like I've done a lot, but I think I'll watch this video back and be like, I got nothing done. It's just this and that, which was easy, but I think it's been good progress. So according to my schedule, my sort of self-appointed schedule to keep on track with this build, by today I was meant to have done the entire body and done 50% of the tail. So we are behind, which means I'm probably going to be here on Saturday and Sunday, but that's fine. We'll get there. If you enjoyed this, leave a like, it really helps me out and it's free, which is nice. Subscribe if you want to see more and I'll see you guys for the next one. Bye.